2NURFM 103.7. We normally have a chat to this young lady on a Friday, but she said, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, Fridays are for relaxing, so I need to start coming in on a Thursday, so I've still got that work kind of vibe. She's known as the Happy Renovator, and she's here for another bit of radio renovation today. Marina Erasmus, you've thrown my senses out. All of a sudden I think it's the weekend, and it's not. Good morning.
Good morning, Mark.
But one thing that many people may be looking at doing across the weekend is getting into a bit of painting. Now, I guess it's one of those things that we pretty much can do DIY, but if we are looking to go down that road, particularly if you haven't done any painting before since you did Year 7 art class, what are some of the things that we should do in the early stages of getting ready for it?
Yes, look, you can certainly practice painting. The more you do it, the more you get better at it. But the secret to an excellent and eye-pleasing paint job really is the preparation. That's the thing that you need to concentrate on. If the preparation is done well, you'll have a professional finish on your paint work.
Kind of get the vibe that whenever you do anything around the home, just getting the list, getting everything prepared first. So if we're going to do that and we're going to do it the right way, how should we prepare for painting?
Look, there's such a long preparation.
Old clothes, yeah, that's the...
yeah, old clothes, a hat when you paint ceilings. There's a very long list which we won't be able to cover all today, but making sure you've got the right tools, the right equipment. So you've got to have the right paintbrushes, the right rollers, and even things like ladders. If you're going to paint ceilings or even externally your gutters or eaves, make sure you have a ladder that can reach. A stable ladder will be good. And if you have a double-story home, you might need scaffolding. So there are a lot of things to think about, and make sure you have them on site so you don't have to run around once you've started the painting.
Oh, I can imagine that. You're halfway through a room, then you realise you can't get to that spot, and then you've got to go and buy a ladder.
Yeah, the dash to Bunnings.
Now, yes, it is messy. You've mentioned the hat and the clothes so that we don't get as much of it on ourselves, but we also want to make sure it goes smoothly. So in terms of keeping the mess at a minimum, some tips for that.
Yeah, look, patching and sanding, for example, is a very messy business. So make sure you are very thorough. Make sure you patch every hole, every little scratch. The last thing you want to do is start painting and then come across another hole that you forgot to patch. And that means you'll have to drop the paint tools and then pick up the patching tools. So make sure you're just very thorough from the start. And safety first. Wear a mask, wear some eye protection, a hat, as I said, when you paint ceilings, and make sure your family and your pets and kids are sort of away from the area where you're working and creating a lot of dust.
I imagine that a dog comes in to see you, wags its tail all over the fresh paint.
Yes.
It's got a nice little, motion through it. Now you've got to wash the dog who doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's right. Or the cat might walk through the paint.
Oh, dear. Now, we've got the prep done. We've all got our glasses and hat on and everything. In terms of brushes or rollers, I'm guessing they're not just all the same. So are there some tips for picking the right type of brush or roller for the type of work that we're doing?
Absolutely. When you walk into Bunnings or a supplier store, you can normally see a wall full with brushes and rollers. So you want to make sure you tell them exactly what you're planning to paint so that they can match the brushes or the rollers to the paint and your whatever painting. So if you're painting a thin architrave or a thin skirting, you want a thinner brush. If you're going to paint a lot of walls, certainly pick the larger rollers, so that'll take you less time to cover that wall.
Oh, smart thinking. And I imagine too, it couldn't hurt to take a couple of photos on your phone so you can show the people that are going to help you out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea.
There you go. We'll put that on your list. Right?
I will.
When you start teaching people this, you can do that. Now, in terms of paint, because if you don't know how much you're going to get out of a tin of paint, it's not like just buying a tile. You map out the area and, I need 10 tiles here or what piece of wood, whatever. How do I know how much paint I need to buy?
Yeah, that's a very good question because different types of paint have got different coverage. So measure up the area that you're planning to paint. If it's outside or inside, measure it all up and take that measurement with you when you're going to buy the paint. The experts know how much paint you'll need to cover the areas that you've got. And my hot tip for today would be always buy the larger tin. If they recommend the 10 litre, I would always buy the 15 litre. So it doesn't matter if you have a little bit of paint left over afterwards, you can use it for another project or repaint the wall at another stage. But it's a bit of a pain to keep running back to the shop to buy more paint.
I think that's the theme, isn't it? It's just to prepare to make sure that you don't have to do a second trip. Do it all in one go. Interesting, Irene, that you mentioned the different paints have different sort of consistencies as well, I guess. So, I mean, oils ain't oil, so to speak.
That's right, or your gloss paints might cover less than just a normal low sheen paint.
All right, now where do I start? I've got all of the gear. I've got the paint. I've got the brushes. I've got my hat on. Where do I start? Do I look at the walls? Do I look at the architraves and the blinds or all that sort of stuff? The window frames. Where's the best place to start?
Yeah, it can be very confusing. I personally always start with the ceilings, then the architraves and the window frames and the skirting, and then the walls. Over time, I've actually developed sort of a thorough checklist, which I call the ultimate paint recipe. And I follow that little recipe myself, and that is the most cost effective and the quickest way of painting.
All right, some tips there if you're about to do some painting across the weekend with our happy renovator, Verena Rasmus. Thank you so much, Verena. We'll get painting on the weekend, eh?
Thank you, Mark.
2NURFM, a broadcast service of the University of Newcastle.